Eli, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. I wasn't an X-user. After you bought it, I became an X-user.
Thank you. Please encourage everyone to,
Premium. I'm a premium X-user.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank everyone who's a sort of a paid subscriber on X. It's really important because otherwise we're totally beholden to the advertisers. So when you subscribe, you're helping with freedom of speech. So thank you for subscribing. Yeah.
And as I became an X-user, I did bought a Tesla, which I love.
Great.
And just recently, I ordered Starlink because of what you did for all the hurricane victims.
Great.
Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and welcome back to another episode of Operation Ground Zero. Win PA. We're keeping a laser focus on the key swing state of Pennsylvania because it's true. Win PA, win the White House. And the clip you just watched is a perfect example of what's actually happening in this election cycle. People who were previously not outspoken, some who were not even Trumpers, like Elon himself, who are not even X-users, are turning the corner and beginning to see the huge depth of the MAGA movement. It's a whole civilizational pivot away from the globalist order and into an anti-establishment movement, of which Elon, Trump, and others are massive figureheads. And joining me today is Andy Slamans, the man you just watched in that clip, addressing Musk in Pennsylvania. Andy is a Pennsylvania resident. He's a fellow patriot, and he's a business owner in the Keystone State. And he's here to talk about what's going on the ground. He's got an eyewitness testimony of what's happening here. Andy, great to see you again, man. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Dr. Steve. I've really, watching your show in the past year, I was never really politically active until I began to watch your show and realize the globalist world movement, right, that's taking place, and how much the left in our country is part of that. So it's exciting to me to see kind of the groundbreaking things that are happening here in Pennsylvania, and the fact that Elon, right, is pushing it has been amazing. So the clip that you just saw there, I was able to see him 2 times, and for me, I just have such high regard and respect for Elon. At the end of my question time with him, I put out that quote that the only thing that evil needs to flourish is for good men to do nothing. Yep. And Elon has sacrificed billions of dollars for freedom of speech. Yep. And it's coming at great cost. Yep. So, for him to be willing to do that, he's definitely got my admiration.
Yeah. I heard somebody once put it that, he uses his money to to realize the world he's reimagining. So for him, it's not money isn't about getting nice houses and cars and all that. It's about saving civilization. And so he's building rockets, and he's building out social media platforms and all that in order to, and then and launching satellites in space. And I can tell you, there's a lot of people in Western North Carolina right now who are very happy he's doing all of that. I mean, there's a very practical thing to it. I'm just curious, what inspired you to go to the Elon rally? I believe you said you've been to 2 of them.
Yeah, for me, again, it's just kind of see what the groundswell is here in Pennsylvania. We're hoping, I think there's been a lot of people that were asleep in 2020, probably even in 2016, folks that if they would just go to the polls, they would vote for Trump.
Right.
But there's an apathy that still exists, in our cultural or political environment. And, this year, I think, is going to be dramatically different, right? Yeah. I mean, we already see the firewall that the Dems always try to get in PA, right? It's collapsing.
Yes.
And that's because folks of every socioeconomic are being awakened to all of the baloney that the left and Dems have been shoving down their throat.
That's right.
And for me, it's like the Dems push this luxury belief idea. Yes. They'll put out these beliefs that don't affect them, but they affect, folks that are in poor neighborhoods or lower income situations dramatically, like defund the police, right? Yeah. Oh, it sounds great. And it's virtue signaling. I can say that I live in a safe neighborhood, right? There's no crime in my area. However, the luxury belief, defund the police, you know who it hurts the worst? It
Right.
hurts the worst that are folks that are in those low income areas
Right.
where they're 7 times more likely to experience a violent crime. And I think folks in Pennsylvania are finally waking up to the bull crap and saying, no more. Let's have a common sense candidate in office.
It's so brilliant the way you put that. So Marie Antoinette, like it's only a bougie ivory tower class can come up with something as moronically idiotic as defund the police. Of course they can. Half of them probably have their own private security. They're in their gated communities. Of course they could say things like that. They're
Right.
funding their security, no problem. But our tax dollars are funding the security for people in Philly, and they're the ones most adversely affected. I don't know if Andy, I don't know if you caught the Philly Inquirer had a piece out, I think it was last week and a half, that like Harris is just bleeding voters in the working class neighborhoods all throughout Philly, particularly Latino dominated
Yes.
working class. Did you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and it's no wonder, because you know what? Those folks can detect BS. They have BS detectors,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And again, they're not these liberal elitist, folks with these crazy beliefs. They know when somebody is full of baloney. And again, like Trump has just been a genius working at McDonald's, right, on Sunday.
Oh, wasn't that amazing in
Yeah,
Bucks
and then-
County? Dang.
Yeah, and then going to the barber shop, right, in the Bronx. And he walks in there totally comfortable in his own skin. Kamala could never do that. And then he sits down with these guys. He's like, guys, I grew up in Queens, right next door.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on. What
Yeah.
are things that you need help with? It's amazing.
It is amazing. I mean, there's no one like he's so well, the technical term is sui generis. He's completely unique and perfect for the time we're in right now, needing this disruptor. Closing the loop on Elon, what kind of impact do you think he's having in Pennsylvania? I look at his woke counterpart, Mark Cuban. I think that's an insult to Elon. He's not even in the same league as Elon. When we're talking billionaires, Mark is like, what is it, worth 2-3 bill? I mean, Elon's just in a whole nother stratosphere. But Cuban's just making a complete idiot of himself on national television, where Elon he's hitting the ground. I mean, he's actually, like, in effect, taking up residence in Pennsylvania for the time being. What do you think is the impact is of his presence there?
Again, going to 2 of those town halls, what's so beautiful is he walks on a stage. He has no teleprompter, right? He just talks extemporaneously. He is obviously a genius, but he can relate in a way to people that probably most billionaires can't.
Right.
And I think
like a Mike Bloomberg could never. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably frustrating the dickens out of folks on the left, because Bill Gates couldn't do that. Right. Although I just heard he donated $50 million to the Democrats, right?
Yeah.
And then we have this whole brouhaha in PA, again, lawfare, that Josh Shapiro is like trying to scare basically Elon and saying, hey, look, he's, doing election interference. But if you remember, in 2020, Zuckerberg donated $400 million to the Democrats. So again, it's the whole, Zuckerbucks for me, but not for thee.
Not for thee. That's right. Yeah, it all comes down to power. So if you are defending and promoting the power of the elite, then you can do whatever you want. But you dissent from it. You stand up against it. You stand in front of it like a Tiananmen Square tank picture. They'll mow you down. They don't care. You could be a perfectly law-abiding citizen. They'll mow you down. That doesn't matter. It's just it's insane. Kamala can plagiarize. She could be a serial plagiarizer. Nothing to see there. Then there's these totally unsubstantiated, actually contradicted claims that Trump loves Hitler and all this sort of nonsense. It's the front page news. It's all power when all is said and done. I want to ask you about I'm just curious, since you're on the front lines there, and I get this question a lot. What's your sense about Amish voter mobilization? And I ask that because you have, I believe, 80,000 Amish in Pennsylvania. That's the margin that Biden, quote unquote, won in Pennsylvania back in 2020. I know they're livid over the way Amos Miller's been treated. They're very concerned about their own freedoms, food freedom in particular. Are you getting a sense, or are you hearing anything on the ground that the Amish are being more mobilized to vote than usual?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a small business owner. I go to some meetups with other small business owners that are heavily attended by the Amish. And because of the situation that you just talked about, they are voting like they've never voted before.
That's awesome.
Scott Pressler, I think, is just doing an awesome job
Scott.
as well, right? And getting the vote out. And so I really think we have to just continue to mobilize. It's a tight race. But I think in the end, we're going to see a red wave like we've never seen before. And it's because of largely of those efforts, like the gentleman you just interviewed, Cliff, who's on
Cliff
the
Maloney,
ground, right, knocking on the doors and just really encouraging people like, get out, your vote matters.
Yep. They're ballot chasers. They will, if you do not send in they know who got the ballot. They will come to your door, knock on that door. Did you send that ballot? Oh, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to do it. I promise. Well, can we do anything now to make sure that you do it? No, I'll do it. They will show up in a week to see if you sent that ballot in. I love these guys. Yeah. So far they've hit 500,000 doors. Their goal is to hit another 500,000 in the next 2 weeks. So Andy, big picture. You're totally firing me up here and inspiring me. Big picture. What are you seeing in Pennsylvania? Are you seeing like lots and lots of lawn signs? I mean, everybody you're talking to is on the ground there. Are you seeing?
I'm seeing more courageous Trump supporters over the last 3 weeks than I've ever seen before. And so I'll often wear my Trump hat or my Trump T-shirt, and people will say, "I right on," or way to go, right? They encourage that, and I think again it's because Elon definitely has a big push on him saying like, "Look, this is one of the most important elections ever in the history of the U.S."
Yes.
If the Democrats win, it is very likely that some of these swing states will never go back red again, as they continue to fill them with illegal immigrants. It is a strategy, just like, Elon calls it the Californication, of these swing states. That's exactly what they're doing. And so this election, honestly, in my lifetime, I'm 53 years old. It is the most important election I think that's ever taken place. So as we get that message out to a lot of these folks, maybe who are apathetic or just need to get pushed off the couch, that's going to make the difference.
Yeah. It's not hypothetical. It's not a slogan. It's not hyperbole. This is it. Elon is saying it. Civilization is on the line here. If we win this, I think we've got this. I do. I think we now have a reset that that will last a generation. Just looking at JD and Elon and Vivek and Tulsi. Tulsi became a Republican last night officially, and this is just amazing stuff. Andy, you're awesome. I love chatting with you. You're a small business owner. If people want to keep up with you and your work, where can they find you online?
So I just have a small family-owned business. It's called PetraTools.com. We sell lawn and garden sprayers, lawn and garden products. That's what we do. We employ 20 full-time people. We hope to continue to employ more. But my wife works with me. My son works with me. My daughter works with me. I tell people a lot of times our ultimate goal is Duck Dynasty. We love what they did. So we're trying to grow it like that. Dr. Steve, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Andy. And dude, bring it home, man. You're on the front lines. You're on the front lines. Hold. We love you, man. Keep up the great work. God bless.